Hey guys, I'm back for another DC 2014 video, and this time I'm bringing you kind of an update of what's going on with the site. The site's still, going to be made, everything's progressing normally, but our Batman writer Nathan Van Hayten, I think I'm saying his name right, because every time I say his last name, I accidentally say Van Halen. I don't know, that's just weird to me, but back on topic. Our writer for the main Batman title quit, and Ronin Reviewer was looking for someone else to basically replace him, so I gave him a pitch for my 3-arc Batman run that's going to set up the status quo for this new version of Batman and stuff. And I'm basically here to give you my ideas for it. So my first arc is basically my first Detective Comics arc, except that I'm altering it to, instead of it being like copycat superheroes, it's going to be basically the Sons of Batman. You know, these kids, these young teenagers and stuff, or maybe young adults who are inspired by Batman to basically take down the crime in their city, because they've been living on the streets. They know how terrible it is and stuff, and they basically want to change it. Some of them have even worked for the mob, maybe as like helpers of them, as underage drug dealers or something. There are a lot of kids who act as like drug dealers and stuff, and they work in that sort of world, and these are basically kind of those people who are sick and tired of living, in this shitty city, and they want to basically fight crime like the guy they idolize, and that's Batman. And they're replacing the copycat vigilantes. I'm going to use the Sons of Batman to introduce basically introduce a couple of well-known Batman supporting characters. I won't say who, but I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised when you see them there. I'm really interested to see how you guys are going to react to this change to some of these supporting characters, and hopefully it'll be a good change and not just some stupid-ass fan-fiction-y change that's just makes no sense. And the primary theme of it is still the same. It's not Salvador Maroni, it's Carmine Falcone. Year 1 is not canon in my universe. I'm starting with a Batman who's been on the job for maybe a few months now to maybe a year, so he's still young. The mob is still in the city. They still have a lot of power and influence, but Batman is slowly taking them down. And then you have these new kids, this small group of people who are also helping out Batman. And so Carmine Falcone basically hires somebody to target these kids to get Batman out of hiding and to basically take him down once and for all, so that Batman doesn't, destroy his whole criminal empire. Because at this point in time, Falcone is on his last legs. Like, his empire is just crumbling all around him. Batman has just been destroying his operations left and right. A lot of his informants are being locked up. Now you have this other group of vigilantes going around doing Batman's work for him and sort of helping him out, and so he wants them all gone and things to go back the way they were. And so he hires someone to target both the Sons of Batman so that they can lure Batman out, because Falcone thinks Batman is leading these kids on their whole crusade on crime, and he thinks that if he can target the kids, he's going to bring Batman out and hopefully get rid of him once and for all. So that's my first arc. The second arc actually is going to deal with deal with Penguin, and it's going to deal with it's sort of a B-level Batman villain. It's not going to be the Joker or anyone big yet. Joker's going to come in later, I promise. But it's going to be a Batman villain who has big ties to the Joker. And the primary theme of the second arc is how Batman inspires insanity. The point of the first arc is to show that Batman inspires good. The point of the second arc is to show that Batman inspires insanity and fear in people. And that when, these insane people like in Arkham and stuff, when they see him, something just shifts in their minds. And they basically, create these personas of their own, kind of like Batman's made a persona of him that he's Batman. He's this force of nature, this force of good and justice and stuff. And these guys kind of do the same thing to themselves. They make themselves seem like these forces of nature, but in negative ways. They become, killers and stuff. And that's the primary theme of the second arc. And again, it's going to heavily feature Carmine Falcone. It's going to see the return of Oswald Cobblepot, who's been out of the city for a while, but now he's back to the Iceberg Lounge. He's becoming the head honcho of crime in Gotham because Batman and Harvey Dent have pretty much locked up everybody away. Normal criminals are slowly vanishing, and this arc is really going to see the rise of the super criminals. And the first of the super criminals is going to come in my arc. It's not the Joker. It's none of the A-list ones. It's kind of like a B or C-list Batman villain. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised who I picked, and it's a character who has a lot of potential, but he's never really been done right. He really hasn't had that story arc that really makes him that a high-tier Batman villain, and that's what I'm hoping to do with him here. And the point of the third arc is basically that Batman is, finishing off Carmine Falcone and stuff. The mob is slowly, going away, like I said before. But the main point of it is something that Ronan told me, how Batman just fights crime. He never tries to help the poverty in the city, because Gotham is a really poor place to live in, especially in the Nolanverse, where crime has just destroyed the city to the point where people are forced to become criminals and stuff. And that's the primary thing that Batman's going to deal with. He's going to, go undercover as one of the regular people. He's going to see how they live. He's going to see how they have to resort to crime to survive. He's going to see that criminals aren't black and white. Not all criminals are evil people. Sure, there are evil people who murder and steal because they love it, but there are also a lot of people who become criminals because they have no choice, because they can't find a job, they have to feed their families, they have to do morally questionable things to survive, and that's what Batman's going to learn here. And his whole character arc here is going to be that criminals aren't black and white, everything is a shade of gray. And he's basically going to realize that just beating up criminals dressed up in a costume every night isn't going to cut it, that he has to help the city in other ways. He has to help the poor, the needy and stuff. And once these people, get their lives back, he's going to be able to repair the city in more ways. People are going to live better in the city. They're going to have longer lifespans and stuff. And that's going to be the main thing of the third arc. It's going to be Batman basically learning that to save Gotham, you can't just lock up its criminals. You have to destroy all of the bad things the crime and corruption have done, besides just lock up all the criminals. And that's the big character arc that Batman's going to have in this. Another thing I'm going to be introducing is Nanda Parbat, and this is a well-established part of Batman's continuity, or of his universe. And Nanda Parbat, for those of you who don't know, is this mystical place somewhere in the Himalayas where time moves slower. Think the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z, like 6 months in like 6 months in the real world is like 50 years or something in Nanda Parbat. And I'm maybe exaggerating because I don't know the specifics of how time works, but it's basically the hyperbolic time chamber. In Dragon Ball Z, you spend one day in the hyperbolic time chamber, and inside it's been like 2 years and stuff, and you basically get 2 years of training done in a single day. And that's kind of here, except in Nanda Parbat, you don't physically age. In fact, when you leave Nanda Parbat, you're going to be kind of like confused, like, holy shit, you mean I've been there for like a century, and in the outside world it's been like a year or two maybe? And I'm kind of going to use that for how Batman is able to master all these different martial arts and stuff. Yeah, basically how Batman learns all these various martial arts in a fairly short amount of time. Sorry the video is gonna break up here because something happened with Audacity. It shut off on me for some reason, so the video is gonna cut off. But basically I don't have really that much else to say about it. That's basically my idea for Batman, the first couple of, well, 3 arcs. I might actually plan out even more, but those are the 3 ones I have set in stone right now. I'm already in the early process of actually writing them. Hopefully all 3 of them are going to be done by the time the site launches.